we are. Hello, welcome. This is definitely not something I've done before. Hopefully I will continue to do maybe a couple more of these, depending on what I feel like talking about. So, this is gonna be a quick little get ready with me, because I have a little thing to go to tonight, Demolition Derby. But I'm also trying to record the next BarkBox video. If you are new here, I have my dog Ollie featured on the channel quite a bit, and he is quite adorable. If you don't like this kind of content, or maybe you do, and you like other content as well, I do a little bit of everything. Or will, maybe. But one big thing on my channel is definitely my dog. He is very cute, very great personality. If you want to go hop onto another video and see that, if you don't want to hear about this hospital story I'm about to tell you, then yeah, go view something else. Otherwise, let's hop into this. Quick little get ready with me. I'm just gonna do kind of my everyday kind of makeup look, basically the makeup I would do if I did my makeup every day. And then I'm gonna also tell you while I get ready here about why I had to delay my flooring project, which will be another video on here, because I apparently had a Pilonidal Cyst. I believe that's how you say that. If you don't know what that is, it's a cyst that forms basically at the top of the tailbone or right above your butt crack, which I didn't even know was a thing or a possibility, but apparently it is. So first things first, to start out the makeup, I've already got my face washed and moisturized. I'm not gonna put on any face makeup just cause she breaking out. The prison gates are down, you know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna go ahead and start by just priming my eyes because I'm just gonna be doing some eye makeup while I tell this story. I'm just using the Morphe transparent eyeshadow primer. So let's start with this wonderful story. I guess I should give a little bit of a background. I've been experiencing tailbone pain since I was like preteen, teenager, kind of 12 to 14, around in that area. And I started thinking that maybe I just had a screwed up tailbone, like my tailbone was bent funny or it was mutated or something, I don't know. Because I would frequently get tailbone pains where it felt like I was bruising my tailbone, and I never did anything to actually warrant it being bruised. I never sat down hard, I never fell, I never got hit or kicked or anything like that. It would just, I would sit down and then just all of a sudden start feeling pain down there, like a bruise being touched. And that was kind of like, for me, but I just wrote it off because I just figured I had an easily bruisable tailbone. So to kind of set this eyeshadow primer, I'm gonna actually go in with this little crappy LA Colors shimmering loose eyeshadow thing in the shade Snow White. You can literally get this at the Dollar Tree. I just take a little bit of that into the cap and just apply it with like a fluffy. This is e.l.f.'s Flawless Concealer Brush, but I use it for like setting powder on the eyes. So, back to the story. I dismissed my tailbone pain just thinking for the last like 12, 10, whatever years, that was nothing. Oh, how wrong I was, because it was a Thursday. I had just gotten off of work and I had a chiropractor appointment. I went in, and in between me driving from work to that office, not even like 30 minutes later, I started experiencing pain. So when I went into the chiropractor, I went ahead and mentioned like, hey, I'm experiencing a little tailbone pain, happens all the time. So he did the basic, you know, adjustments, started working out my lower back, because I do have spots in my lower back that kink really badly, that give me really bad sciatic pain. You know, we're making sure everything's adjusted and my spine's not all twisted down there and everything, and making sure the tailbone is properly aligned, blah, blah, blah. Figured I'd be fine after that. Simple little pain for a few days and it'll go away. Oh, I was wrong. I can't decide. I really kind of want to add a pop of color. I'm going to add a pop of color to the eyes. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and use my JSE Mini Baker palette for this. And I don't know, I'm thinking mixing between these three shades here, kind of match my tie-dye that I have on here. Follow Swollen Shut on social media. If you like vocals similar to John Mess, check it out. Boop, 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 boop. And on to the story. I leave the chiropractor and I'm just like, okay, everything's fine and dandy, whatever, I'll be fine. So the next day, I had actually gone over to a friend's to tie-dye this shirt, and I was still like in a lot of pain. It was just so uncomfortable. So uncomfortable. I was not really trying to be too strenuous, but you know, I was kind of getting up and squatting and moving around, and the pain was just more intense than it had really ever kind of been, which was a little confusing, but I figured, you know, oh, maybe the adjustment made it worse, which I was kind of fearful of, you know, like, geez, I have a good chiropractor, like, you wouldn't think that they would mess up somewhere. Accidents happen, whatever. So again, more dismissal, and I was just like, you know, whatever, it'll go away. My tailbone's just bruised. I'm fine. So then the next day, that Saturday, I woke up and I was like in pain. Like, ooh-wee. That 1,000 milligrams of acetaminophen was needed. So I was basically almost walking with my cheeks clenched. I was like, oh, like hobbling around everywhere. It was so painful. I was like, yo, this is not right. Something's wrong here. It's just like, maybe something happened. Maybe my tailbone is sensitive. Maybe it broke during the alignment. Something's gotta be wrong here, because this is not just a bruised tailbone. And of course the fair was in town. Andrew and I had decided to go ahead and go up there, kind of check things out, and I was like, yo, we are not riding on any rides. This is not happening. I can barely even sit to drive here. Like, I was just kind of, you know, trying to take it easy. I took some acetaminophen, you know, which helped. It did help kind of dull the pain to where I was actually able to move around and do stuff. But then Sunday hit, and let me tell you what, I was like, on Sunday. The acetaminophen was barely working. I was so delirious at that point from the pain that I can't even remember what I was doing throughout the day. I really was just not having a good time at that point. But yeah, then Monday hit. I was screaming out in pain. I remember Sunday waking up. It took a little time for the pain to settle whenever I woke up. So I was actually able to like kind of get up and get my pain meds and take those before the pain really set in. That wasn't the case Monday. It was like I was awake before my alarms even went off for work, and the pain was already coming on. It was already agonizing. It was already like crying out in pain, to the point where I had to take a heavy painkiller just to stop screaming in pain. I had to double that up with ibuprofen. And I'm not somebody who enjoys taking pain medications, but I had to. It was to the point where I had to, because I was just screaming in pain. It was so bad, and I couldn't stop like crying from it. And I was just getting to the point where I was almost getting so nauseous and like uncomfortable. I was not having it. I had to go to work like that. I couldn't make it through the day. I could not make it through the day. So I took a half day at work. Luckily I have cool bosses. Oh, but man, by half day I had to leave. I couldn't do it. I took the day to just kind of chill, and I, you know, basically just slept the rest of the day away. And woke up the next day, and there was still a good amount of pain, but I don't remember it being as intense. I was at least able to wake up, still late as hell for work. I couldn't really function properly. I had to wait for the painkillers again to kick in before I could even really get up and start moving. I made it through work. I made it through work on Tuesday. It wasn't that bad, and then I just kind of chilled for the rest of the day. And then Wednesday hit. Wednesday, I woke up and I actually felt like I was improving. I was like, holy crap, I'm here, I'm doing it, things are good, we're moving, I'm not screaming in pain, like, I can actually do this. So I went to work, did my usual. I still had to stand. I could not sit still at this point. could not sit at all. From that Thursday to now Wednesday, I had not been sitting. From like Sunday, I stopped sitting completely. Other than driving my car. When I got to work, I stood for the full 8 hours. Like, I couldn't stand sitting. I had to go to therapy after work. So I went there and I was like, hey, I can't really sit normal. My tailbone's all screwed up. At that point, I was again starting to feel a little better, so I was like, you know, I'm gonna actually try to go home and mow after this. And I was able to mow the backyard, which was not a good idea. I was like, okay, I'm not gonna try anything from here, because I was in a decent amount of pain. But I had to get the yard mowed. I was not gonna let it get overgrown, but I was not able to get to the front at all. Andrew had come over while I was in the shower, and he mowed the front for me, which was really awesome because I needed it. It needed to get mowed, and I knew that I couldn't do it. So it was nice to see him for a bit. But then Thursday hit, and Thursday was definitely like the worst. I'm gonna put this shimmering liquid shadow from Eyes, Lips, and Face. This is the shade Bling Bling. Maybe. Look at all the product that is still in the bottom of this. But you can't reach it with the brush. So, girl, these makeup companies be ripping us off. And if it gets a little dried out, just put a little bit of setting spray in it. So Thursday, I woke up and I immediately was like, wow, I should not have mowed the yard yesterday. I woke up in pain and I could not function that morning. It took me so long to get ready for work because I just had to wait for the painkillers to kick in before I could even move. So I spent a good 30 to 45 minutes just screaming and crying in pain until the painkillers kicked in, and then I could go to work. And spent my day half delirious just because I was trying to function, because I was like, I'm not gonna try to miss any hours, I need the pay, blah, blah, blah. Don't be like me. Do not choose work over your health. Got through Thursday in pain. I got to Friday and I went to work and I was like, I cannot do this. Something is wrong. At that point, I started getting a lot of bad discoloration, and the swelling was so bad. So bad. Couldn't touch that area at all. And at this point, it started going lower. The pain started getting lower and deeper into my pelvis. And I was like, this is not right. Because the rash was not from like skin being rubbed and irritation or anything like that. It was from a deep infection. I was like, no, something's wrong. My tailbone is not bruised. There is something wrong. So I called my chiropractor and I was like, yo, help. I figured it would be a lot cheaper for me to just go to my chiropractor for x-rays to see if my tailbone was actually broken or something, and versus going to the hospital and have them try to like run a bunch of tests and scans and crap to figure out what was wrong. They got me in for a quick little emergency appointment. My boss let me leave early. I'm gonna go ahead and use the Anastasia Aurora Glow Kit to finish off the eyes. I'm gonna use the shade Luna. So basically I went in there and we did the x-ray and examined it, and he was like, yeah, there's nothing wrong with your tailbone. But then there was this weird space like that was showing up on the x-ray where you could see the swelling from this spot, and I was just like, yo, I need to go to the doctor. It's time for the ER. Let's go. But of course I went back to work first to finish out my shift. Okay, next I'm just going in with my L'Oreal Infallible gel liner. Finish out my shift at work, and I went to the ER at this hospital. I don't like sitting in the ER, mainly because you never know how long you're gonna be there, and you really don't know how they're gonna treat you. You can either have a really good ER experience or a really bad one. I was like, you know, not looking forward to standing after already standing for 8 hours, going more so on 9-10 hours at this point. I was not looking forward to it. I was not looking forward to standing in an ER. Luckily for me, it was not that busy, Was in there for just a little bit of time before they got me kind of checked in and everything. They got me kind of set up, gave me a gown to put on and all that other stuff. And keep in mind, I'm already having troubles just moving in general. I'm just trying really hard to even lay down on the damn bed because I was so sick of standing. So I got the gown on and just like crashed down onto the bed and waited for the doctor to get in. And then the doctor came in, probably something I also forgot to mention, but also noticed that there was a small spot underneath where all of the swelling and redness and discoloration was starting. There was a small spot under there that started bleeding. That was the other thing that I had mentioned to them, which, you know, made them believe, like, yeah, you probably have an infection, blah, blah, blah. And then the doctor came in and confirmed, yeah, I had an infection. More than likely a cyst that had abscessed and was just not having a good time. Let me tell you what, that was exactly what the hell was going on. And that infection was starting to spread downward, like into my pelvis. That's why the pain was becoming so excruciating. So then came the fun part where they, of course, had to lance me open. Because you can't just let it drain itself or fix itself when it's in a condition like that where it's like a spreading bad, like abscessed infection or whatever. So I have no idea how this really occurred, and I didn't know just how frequent and possible they were. So I really had no idea kind of what I was in for, really, this whole freaking experience, because I didn't even know that these cysts really existed at this point, you know? So here I am going into the hospital, which I already know I couldn't afford to in the first place. So I'm already like not wanting to be there. Girl, let me tell you, I really didn't want to be there at this point. I was like, oh boy, now I get to get cut open. I'm already in pain, and they don't like put you under for anything like this. They just numb up the area and cut you open. Yes, you can bet that that's exactly what the hell happened. They numbed me up with this super uncomfortable numbing stuff and cut me open. And yes, I could still feel all of the pain just because I couldn't feel the initial like cut open of the skin. I could still feel him pushing on it. I could still feel it being drained. Like, it was so painful. I was really trying my hardest not to like scream. By this point, all of the medication that I had taken earlier that day was wearing off, so all of the pain was coming back. So, there I was, laying there in a pool of pussy blood and saline, and just not having a good time. I wasn't like crying at this point, but I sure wanted to, because it was kind of a traumatic experience. So anyway, there I was, wanting to cry, getting my aftercare instructions or whatever. First of all, doctor told me one thing. The nurse said, yo, don't do that. Do this instead. And I'm just like, cool, now I don't trust anyone. I was, you know, basically sent out the door with, you know, your prescriptions are at the CVS. Have fun. So I had to ask for a painkiller before I even left. I was like, yo, do y'all have like some Tylenol or ibuprofen or something I can take? Because I could tell just from laying there that I was not gonna have a fun time after I got up. I had to get the whole thing like packed full of like this like gauze stuff and everything too. It had to be all left open and just not fun. So I tried my hardest. She gave me a strong ibuprofen. I took that and I hobbled my happy butt out of the hospital. It took me like 20 minutes just to walk from the inside of the emergency room across the little section of parking lot to my car, and I finally somehow slid into my car sideways, and I'm like curled sideways in the fetal position in my car, and I'm just like, I can't drive. I drive a manual car. Sitting flat on my butt with my back pushed against the seat was not gonna happen. I started just screaming and crying in pain, and I was just like, I can't even drive, like, oh my god, what am I gonna do? This, like, and I had to sit there and wait for 30 to 45 minutes for that painkiller to finally kick in, and I was just screaming. Just screaming. And it was not a good time. My brother had to come pick me up. I was bleeding all over the place. Finally got home, and I just went and laid down. That's all I could do was just go and lay down in my room and just kind of chill. I was just like done at that point. I didn't want to do anything for the rest of the day. I waited until a little bit later for my mom and my brother to get home before I took my medication. I finally got up at that point because I could finally get up. And I went ahead and checked out the bandage and took off my clothes because I could finally change out my clothes. That was not fun. Finally got into some clothes, clean clothes, got my bandages changed, kind of cleaned the infected area, and I was basically just ready to start my weekend of resting. And I knew that that was what was gonna go down. I was gonna be laying in that bed for the next 2 days, and that's exactly what I did. I basically just binge watched Attack on Titan and Hornet King and a bunch of other random crap, got caught up on like the creep show drama and stupid crap like that, and I rested. And I kept the wound clean, took my antibiotics, and halved out my painkillers the best I could. It was not fun. So it has now been barely over a week since that hospital incident. I still have some discomfort. The pain is not fully gone, which kind of worries me because I did not know how frequent these cysts could actually be and how often they actually occur. To fill in my brows, I'm using the Anastasia Dip Brow Pomade. Yeah, that was basically the entirety of my butt cyst experience. 10 out of 10, would not do again. 10 out of 10, hated every second. I would basically rather like eat glass at this point versus going through this again. It was ruining the alignment that I had just gotten because I had to sleep either on my stomach or on my sides, and my body would constantly contort itself while I was sleeping, just trying to get comfortable because I'm so used to either sleeping on my back or like partially on my back, just slightly more in the fetal position, you know, that's where I alternate. I'm usually on my back. So sleeping on my stomach for a week and like having my neck all bent funny, it was just awful. The whole freaking experience was awful. Okay, I have this little like brow gel thing. I'm pretty sure this was from like Ardell or something. I don't remember what product this was, if I'm being completely honest. That's basically it for this video, this little get ready with me. I'm gonna just set my eyes with this Makeup Revolution setting spray. Thanks for tuning in to my butt journey. I'm filming a BarkBox right after this. I still have my floor laying video that is in the works that I'm gonna get up here soon. If you'd like to hit that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed, it would mean the world to me. And then maybe one day I'll be rich and famous enough to afford health insurance so that this instance doesn't happen again. Alright, thanks again. I'm gonna go ahead and pop off and get ready to go to this derby, quickly get my next BarkBox video done with my goofy goof. If you want to check that out, it'll be up again. It will be up soon. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see y'all on the next one. Bye, bitches.